Now at 9, Pitt State is feeling the music as they kick off their week-long Festival of Art. Plus, a crash in southwest Missouri claims the life of an Aurora, Missouri woman.
Former President Trump firing back at the historic indictment against him. I'm Jonathan Seri in Miami. I'll have details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Amber Jenkins. An Aurora woman is dead following a crash near Mount Vernon, Missouri. It happened yesterday morning near Missouri Highway 174, just 4 miles east of Mount Vernon. Authorities say 38-year-old Pamela White was traveling west when she veered off the roadway, hit a tree, and then overturned. White was pronounced dead at the scene. 2 people have died in a shooting that involved a Kansas City, Missouri police officer. The Missouri Highway Patrol say a Kansas City officer called for assistance on Friday night. After arriving to the scene, police discovered 1 officer and 5 people on the scene. 3 of the 5 had gunshot wounds, according to the Missouri Highway Patrol. An adult male was pronounced dead. 2 others were taken to the hospital, where a woman was later pronounced dead. A man was treated for minor injuries. It is unknown at this time what led up to the shooting or who fired the shots. No officers were injured. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us for the first look at weather.
All right, thank you very much. It's been a little bit of a rainy day, especially this morning with those storms early in the morning, but it's very welcome rainfall. You can see nothing going on right now in our local area, but down to the south and east, some tornado watches and storm watches and warnings down in the Tennessee River Valley this evening, but that is starting to move away from us. Instead, we're going to see temperatures dropping through the 60s all the way down to the mid-50s by morning, and with that, we're going to see some morning fog. Some of it could be dense, especially where the rainfall was the heaviest. We're going to have some cool mornings and some mild afternoons ahead with some late week storms, and then summer-like weather starts to come into our forecast in the extended period. Of course, I'll tell you all about that when we come back in just a little bit.
The Pitt State Festival of the Arts kicked off today. It's a week-long series of free concerts in nearby venues and at PSU. It was organized by Pitt State Department of Music, local businesses, and the Bricknell Family Center for the Arts. The festival will showcase different genres of music, including jazz, brass, Latin, chamber music, and more. There will also be an exhibit at the Bricknell Center featuring portraits of renowned entertainers from the collection of Jim Halsey Company.
Every major city around the world actually have at least one, if not several festivals going on through their cities for their community. We actually wanted to start this 11 years ago. So this is the 11th season, 11th edition of the festival.
The exhibit will be open through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. every day. Former President Donald Trump was indicted last week, and now reactions are pouring in. Reporter Brent Solon spoke with voters and political experts to get their thoughts on the case.
Next month, Republicans are expected to decide when the party will hold its Iowa caucus, widely believed to be a potential indicator of who could best represent the party. Early reports suggest it could happen in mid-January. We wanted to know if Donald Trump's indictment will weigh on voters' minds.
When you are prosecuting someone this popular, with millions of supporters, it's not just about the black letter law. It's really about what is the purpose, what is the point, what are you going to accomplish?
Anders Walker is a law professor at SLU. Although he calls the indictment a, quote, national embarrassment, he says not all voters will see it that way.
What exactly did he take? Did he take information that could jeopardize troops in the field, operations that are underway, national security? And what was his motive? Was he planning to sell those documents? If they've got something like that, then I think there's a good case to put him in jail. But if he just wanted to show off at Mar-a-Lago with a few souvenirs from his time in the White House, well, maybe it's not such a big deal.
As the case works its way through federal court, reaction pouring in at home.
You know, I think it makes people think a little bit more. It is a big deal. I think we should care. I think it's important to be honest.
He's going to run unassailed, like it's going to be no issue whatsoever.
I spent some time talking with voters.
I think they shouldn't have done it because he was always going to get away with it. And now that they've done it, the bar is now so low that like we can have infinite indictments with no repercussions.
Even if he ends up in a conviction, he might be pardoned. If he wins the 2024 election, he might pardon himself. And if Ron DeSantis wins, he'll probably pardon him anyway.
Two new polls suggest most Americans see a security risk in former President Trump's alleged actions that led to an indictment on federal charges. An ABC News poll found 61% of Americans say the federal charges Trump faces are very or somewhat serious. 28% say the charges are not serious. And a CBS News YouGov poll found out that 69% of Americans feel it would be a security risk if Trump possessed documents regarding U.S. nuclear systems or military plans in his home after leaving office. As former President Trump faces a Tuesday court appearance in Miami, he's calling the charges against him a case of political prosecution. But even some of his former allies say he's facing an uphill legal battle. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Siri has the latest.
This vicious persecution is a travesty of justice. You're watching Joe Biden try to jail his leading political opponent. Think of it. This is like third world country stuff.
Donald Trump not shying away from the campaign trail this weekend, still the GOP frontrunner despite becoming the first former president in history to face federal criminal charges. The 44-page indictment alleges that Trump kept a trove of highly classified documents at Mar-a-Lago that included military plans and nuclear secrets, and that he hid them from investigators. Trump's lawyers argue he was legally allowed to hold on to that information.
He has every right to have classified documents that he declassifies under the Presidential Records Act. So, yes, they're making it sound like a five-alarm fire. It's not.
His former attorney general, however, disagrees.
He was totally wrong that he had the right to have those documents. Those documents are among the most sensitive secrets that the country has.
The historic indictment adds to the ongoing legal troubles for the former president, who's already facing state charges in New York and additional investigations in D.C. and Georgia. But legal experts and even some in Trump's inner circle believe this case could be the most serious of them all.
If even half of it is true, then he's toast. I mean, it's a very detailed indictment, and it's very, very damning.
Mr. Trump is scheduled to travel here to Miami on Monday to meet with his legal team ahead of his appearance in federal court on Tuesday. In Miami, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Coming up, we'll take a look at a study that says you might gain more weight depending on who you surround yourself around. Are loved ones closest to you likely the source of you packing on the pounds? A new study says yes. University of Surrey, England researchers say in a study that if you're trying to engage in weight loss or even healthy eating, your family and friends may be your biggest obstacles. The scientists say those in a relationship with you may consciously or subconsciously derail your effort because they're threatened by change and may not welcome it. The researchers say during a weight loss journey, having a support group can be the most important tool to reach your goals. A new study suggests you may have to hang up your wine and shot glasses to curtail some disease risk. The study conducted by Oxford University researchers on more than 500,000 men living in China finds drinking alcohol in any amount could increase your risk of developing 60 diseases. The scientists say even occasional drinkers were at risk of developing more than 30 diseases not previously linked to alcohol before. They include stomach and lung cancers, gastric ulcers, and gout. Researchers are urging men to take better care of their mental health during Men's Health Month. A survey from Myra Generastics shows 53% of men have a trusted mental care health provider compared to 63% of women. Some respondents say stigmas about mental health often prevent men from asking for help. The survey also found many respondents report to a heavy use of unhealthy coping mechanisms such as drinking, drugs, and gambling, while 28% of men say their coping mechanisms help them feel better. Doctors say they are more likely to do more bad than good. Sam is next with a complete look at the forecast. The Kansas City Royals are on the mound looking to snap a 5-game losing streak. We'll have the highlights from their matchup against Baltimore.
We had quite a stormy night last night, but at least it brought some beneficial rainfall to the area, so that's not too bad. Let's take a look at Seneca, Missouri this morning, starting out on our tower cam there. at the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just outside of Seneca. As we go through the time this afternoon, you can see the clouds started to break up. The sunshine came out, beautiful blue skies and mild conditions. And then this afternoon we saw some cumulus developing, and now we're just left over with just a few clouds, but those are starting to dissipate and move away as well. This afternoon we made it up to 83 after starting out at 63. We're actually below normal for once. 85 and 64 are the normals. Not anywhere near those records of 103 or 50. We're going to get close to the mid-50s, so that's pretty cool weather for this time of year. Records are nice to be broken this time of year. And then if we look at the rainfall, we had about 1/3 of an inch out at the airport. We're still behind for the month, and we're also about 6.5 inches behind on the year. Rainfall this afternoon was mainly down across Arkansas. That is now starting to move away from us, and now we're just left with mostly fair skies. And taking closer in view on some of the rainfall swaths last night, there were 2 swaths going from Fort Scott down to Lamar, down to Mount Vernon. Some of the places picked up close to 2.5, 3 inches, even 4 inches over there south of Greenfield. Another swath from Chanute to Parsons to Columbus, right down through the metro area, down to Pineville. So everyone got a little something, but those areas down in Barton County, from Liberal to Lamar down towards Miller, they really picked up most of the rainfall last night. So that was pretty good news for those folks. Now, with the result of the rainfall and the clear skies tonight and light winds, we're expecting fog to develop, especially in the long south of I-44. So if you're heading out to work tomorrow, make sure to use those low beams and give yourself a little bit of extra time. Further to the north and west, the visibilities will not be all that bad, but down to the south and east, we could see some dense fog in the morning. Temperatures right now are in the 60s, very pleasant. 65 in Iola, also in Fort Scott, 61 already. Down in Nevada, 62 in Stockton with northeasterly winds. Rain chances are going to be low tonight and then maybe pick up a little bit tomorrow afternoon, but that's mainly going to be down in Oklahoma. In fact, looking at the rainfall amounts for this entire week, we're not really expecting a lot. Generally less than 1/10 of an inch, maybe getting close to 1/2 an inch up towards the north and west, but it's going to be a dry week for the most part, including tonight. Temperatures are dropping down through the 50s, mid-50s across the area with northeasterly winds. And then as we head towards tomorrow afternoon, again, scattered showers might develop down in Oklahoma with highs in the upper 70s. And then as we head into Tuesday morning, cool once again, generally lows in the 50s. I know there's a lot of green on the map, but this is kind of overdoing it with the model with lows in the 50s. And then Tuesday afternoon, pleasant once again with highs in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees. And then Wednesday morning, cool with with lows in the upper 50s across the area with northerly winds. Over the next 7 days, rain chances are going to be low this week. Maybe Thursday and Friday an isolated storm or two, but temperatures are going to be dramatically warming up as we head towards Father's Day weekend, a high of 93, and then it gets really hot as we go towards the first day of summer, which is Wednesday, and a high of 97 degrees. That's close to record territory, Amber.
Well, it's going to get pretty hot, so.
Yep, pretty quick.
Thank you. Coming up, another possible supply chain interruption.
Well, if you thought the port crisis was just a memory from COVID, think again. We may have a traffic jam brewing in the harbor there at the port. I'm Kelly O'Grady. I'll tell you why coming up.
Ongoing labor talks at one of the nation's biggest ports is leading to concerns about another supply chain problem. Fox Business correspondent Kelly O'Grady has the story.
Well, labor negotiations are causing potential port snarls. Remember, that really impacted things during COVID with our supply chain crisis, as well as what we saw with inflation. This congestion is brewing because of labor negotiations that started May of last year. Now, for some context, we've seen some delays already. 6 ships this week were delayed. Now, that technically moves us past the normal to the stressed maritime supply chain. But this isn't anything like we saw during COVID when we had over 100 ships waiting out there. Now, I spoke to the Port of LA. They are seeing some slowdowns at truck gates, but overall they're saying that their terminals are operational. So what we have here is 22,000 union workers are seeking better wages, safety conditions, and protections against automation. A lot of the green pushes at the port have workers concerned about their jobs. Now, the union shared this with Fox Business, quote, "We aren't going to settle for an economic package that doesn't recognize the heroic efforts and personal sacrifices of the workforce that lifted the shipping industry to record profits. We haven't seen a prolonged shutdown yet, just just pockets of workers here and there striking for a day, but there is brewing concern among retailers and manufacturers because 40% of imports in the U.S. come through these two ports here. That's critical as we enter peak shipping season. The National Retail Federation is also urging the president to step in, saying this: thousands of retailers and other businesses depend on smooth and efficient operations at the ports. We urge the administration to mediate to ensure the parties quickly finalize a new contract without additional disruptions. And we're also learning the U.S. Chamber is urging the president to step in immediately and appoint a third-party mediator. So certainly a lot of concern brewing about what that economic impact could be. Kelly O'Grady for Fox Business in Los Angeles.
A report says consumers are more likely to stop dining out during times of high inflation. Management consulting company Alex Partners says restaurant diners are shifting from buying cheaper menu items when they go out to eat to just not dining out in general. That's in order to maintain budgets during a hot economy. According to government data, restaurant prices in April were up more than 8% compared to the same time a year prior. Those prices were also rising faster than grocery costs. Americans are losing their homes at a faster rate with the cost of living continues to climb. According to a new real estate data, the latest report from an Atom Data Solutions shows foreclosure-related filings this past May were up 7% from April and up 14% from a year ago. Florida, California, and Texas lead the country in foreclosure filings despite the increases. Foreclosure rates remain just above pre-pandemic lows. Homeowners are at a greater risk of falling behind on monthly mortgage payments because of higher costs of consumer goods and services. Up next, a grandmother and her grandson traveled the U.S. to visit every national park, and it went viral for it. We'll take a look at their journey. A grandmother and her grandson have just completed an epic travel itinerary, and it only took them about 7.5 years. With their visit to Americasona and this week, Jory and Brad Ryan just completed their goal to visit all 63 national parks. Brad Ryan has been documenting the pair's travels on Instagram, calling the Simona visit the best place to conclude this epic chapter of Grandma Joy's road trip. Ryan says his 93-year-old grandmother made history as the oldest living person to visit every U.S. national park. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, how the state of Kansas is taking extra steps to protect healthcare workers from violence on the job. Healthcare workers in Kansas will soon have further protections against violence they face while they're on their jobs. Governor Laura Kelly and other state lawmakers held a ceremonial signing of a bill aimed to protect the frontline workers. Reporter Sean Loggins has more.
Violence against healthcare workers is an aspect of this job that can really take its toll.
There for comfort and care of the patient, and day after day of being abused can definitely make you into a person that isn't able to give that.
Rebecca Gilbert has spent 10 years as a nurse in Wesley's ER and is now its director.
Verbal abuse daily to violence that has gotten to the point of nurses being taken to the floor by patients and repeatedly punched in the face.
Even before the pandemic, a survey by the Kansas Hospital Association found about 50% of hospitals reported an instance of physical violence at least once a year, and others still seeing it multiple times a month or week. Hospitals say it's worsened in recent years. It's not just nurses, doctors, or other frontline workers facing these attacks.
Walking down the hall, there was a person that had been sitting on a bench, and he stood up and he attacked me and punched me in the jaw.
This happened to Chris Biesing in 2017 at Stormont Vale in Topeka. He's been among hospital workers seeking more protections. This year, legislation passed and signed into law increases penalties for assault on healthcare workers and adds a crime for interfering with healthcare services.
They aren't free to come back the next day and do the same thing again and again, which does happen currently in healthcare.
But the damage of this has already been done. Rebecca seeing colleagues and friends never returning after an attack or facing these issues for years.
See patients or families or visitors and fear for myself.
Oklahoma lawmakers are heading back to the Capitol tomorrow for a special session to override some of Governor Kevin Stitt's vetoes. Those include extension to the tribal compacts on motor vehicle registration and tobacco tax collections. There appears to be enough votes to override those vetoes. Lawmakers could also discuss other bills that failed this legislative session. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us.
All right, thank you very much. We had quite a bit of rain across the area, especially in some areas, but that rain has now moved off towards the south and east, where severe thunderstorm watches and warnings are in effect for eastern Arkansas and parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. Nothing really going on in our area radar-wise. We're going to see temperatures dropping through the 60s all the way down to the mid-50s by tomorrow morning, so it'll feel kind of cool. Also, that means some morning fog will be developing. So looking down the lane, we're going to have that morning fog, and then we're going to have some cool mornings, some warm afternoons, and then that's followed by some late week thunderstorm chances, and then summer-like weather is in our forecast, but it's in the extended period. And of course, I'll tell you all about that when we come back with weather in just a little while.
A tragic story in Nashville where a woman was hit and killed by her own car. Authorities say it happened Monday after 81-year-old Joyce Hicks left her car in gear when she got out to move a trash can. It rolled backwards down the hill and ran her over. She died shortly after getting to the hospital. No other vehicles were involved. A frightening scene for drivers traveling through the Northeast Corridor after a portion of I-95 collapses early Sunday morning in Philadelphia. Fox News correspondent C.B. Cotton has the latest.
Monday morning's commute will come with new headaches for some drivers in the Northeast as people are told to stay away from an interstate collapse and find alternate routes. This happening on one of the country's oldest and most traveled interstates. Officials telling our Fox 29 affiliate a tanker truck caught fire under I-95 in Northeast Philadelphia near Cotman Avenue, causing the northbound overpass to collapse. Now all north and southbound lanes are closed in this area for about 3 to 4 miles. Emergency dispatchers were reportedly notified just before 6:30 this morning. Firefighters arriving to the aftermath to assess the damage, with portions of the northbound lanes reduced to rubble. The fire was under control around an hour later at 7:30 a.m. On Sunday morning, U.S. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg saying federal resources are going into action to offer any assistance that U.S. DOT can provide to help with recovery and reconstruction. Local officials are telling people to brace for a long haul in getting this interstate fixed. As first responders learn more about the scope of the damage, they're pointing a finger at the initial truck fire for creating this messy situation.
There's a lot of heat, bent steel, a lot of heat, probably very, very hot. Don't know, we did get reports of heavy black smoke. When I got here, it was heavy black smoke and fire. So it was a very, very intense heat.
Right now, there's no word on any injuries. Officials say the scale of this damage means there could be weeks of repairs and, of course, some hiccups for summer travel plans. In New York, CB Cotton, Fox News.
2 people were killed in a plane crash outside of Phoenix. The FAA says a single-engine plane crashed in the Superstition Mountains near Apache Junction Saturday. The plane took off from Mesa and 2 people were on board. Authorities say the plane was a part of a flight of 3 airplanes. Investigators have been documenting the site and collecting available flight track and radar data. A preliminary report, which will detail the facts and circumstances of the accident, is expected in 2 to 3 weeks. Still ahead, a Las Vegas man claims he saw an alien-like figure in his backyard. We'll have the details from the case.
Well, last night at this time, we were looking at thunderstorms rolling in from the north and west. Quite a change tonight. Very pleasant out there. Let's take a look outside right now at Seneca, Missouri, the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. We just have a few thin cirrus clouds off in the distance. No precipitation really expected tonight, but we do expect some fog to develop by morning, and I'll show you more on that in just a second. We made it up to 83 after starting out at 63, which was actually below the normals of 85 and 64, not anywhere close to those records. Picked up about 1/3 of an inch out at the airport officially, which leaves us about 4/10 below for the month, and we're still about 6.5 inches below on rainfall for the entire year. Over the last few hours, you can see the showers across Arkansas today. They've rapidly pulled off towards the south and east, leaving us high and dry. But let's take a look last night and show you how much rain fell this morning. Fort Scott to Lamar, down to Mount Vernon, a swath of heavy rain there, and then another swath from Chanute to Parsons to Columbus, through the metro area down to Pineville. In fact, some places picked up over 4 inches of rain just south of Greenfield near Miller, and then of course the heaviest rain extended from there back to the north and west towards Lamar and Liberal. So some folks picked up quite a bit of rainfall. I wish we had more to go around, but unfortunately we're going to have to wait a little bit on that. With the wet ground and the clear skies and the light winds tonight, we're expecting fog to develop, and it could be quite dense, especially along south of I-44. So as you head out to work tomorrow morning for the morning commute, you might want to put your beams on low and give yourself a little bit of extra time, and then the visibilities will increase to better conditions back towards the north and west, but by noon all of that should be burned off. Temperatures right now are very pleasant on northeasterly winds, generally in the lower 60s up to the north, upper 60s to the south and west, like Nowata was 68, 69 for our friends in Bonita. Rain chances are going to be low tonight, and then they may pick up again tomorrow on a scattered basis in northeastern Oklahoma. That's where the best chance of showers and storms are going to be tomorrow. Now for the week, we're not expecting a whole lot of rain this week. We're generally around a tenth or less in the forecast model, maybe a little bit more up towards the north and west, but overall it's going to be a drier week. Temperatures tonight are going to be very pleasant, generally in the mid-50s with northerly winds and drier conditions too. And then tomorrow, that's when we'll see the scattered showers and storms maybe developing in northeastern Oklahoma with temperatures in the upper 70s. And then as we go into Tuesday morning, we'll see lows once again in the mid-50s. So very pleasant, especially with lower dew points. And then Tuesday afternoon, very nice temperatures approaching 80 degrees with light and variable winds. And then Wednesday morning, lows once again around 60 degrees on northeasterly winds. Over the next 7 days, we have a dry period for the next few days. And then Thursday and Friday, maybe some isolated to scattered storms. But the big story is the big warm-up as we head towards next weekend, Father's Day, 93 for Father's Day. But that's nothing compared to the first day of summer, where we're going to get close to 97 degrees. And Amber, that's very close to record territory for this time of year. And those are not the kind of records we want to set.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to breaking those records.
Yes.
Coming up in sports, the Joplin Outlaws look to snap their losing streak. Plus, the St. Louis Cardinals got off to a hot start, but we'll see if they were able to hold on. Next in sports.
Well, the Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals are both on the diamond Sunday afternoon. The Royals are trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. Meanwhile, the Cardinals are looking to win a 3-game series for the first time since May 25th. Reds at Cardinals in Busch Stadium. Top of the first inning, Jonathan India, straightaway center field. Tommy Edman is out of room, and this ball is out of here. 1-0 solo home run. Reds go on top. Bottom of the third now. Game tied 2-2. Nolan Arenado slicing fair. That ball stays in the ballpark. Goldie's running hard around the bases. Paul Goldschmidt will be safe at home plate. Arenado will come in and get in there with an RBI triple. 3-2 Redbirds. So bottom of the 8th now, tied 3-3. Infield in. Paul DeYoung's throw not in time at home plate. Ellie De La Cruz beats it out. Reds take the lead up 4-3. Bottom of the 9th now, same score, last chance for St. Louis. Brendan Donovan gets a good piece of it, and it's not far enough, and that's your ball game. Reds go into St. Louis and win this one 4-3. Royals at Orioles in Camden Yards today. Top of the third, 3-1 Baltimore. Salvador Perez, take a good look. You won't see it for long. 2-run homer. Royals tie the game 3-3. Bottom of the third now, same score. Bases loaded for Josh Lester. That one gets through. 2 runs coming to score. Baltimore regains the lead. They go up 5-3, but O's aren't done yet. The rest of the way, they don't look back. Gunnar Henderson, get the tape measure out. 3-run bomb. Look out, Warehouse District. Orioles go up 10-3. So we head to the bottom of the 8th now. Same score. Baltimore starting to pile it on now. Nick Whitgren, and that ball is way out of there. Baltimore goes up 11-3 after the solo home run, and that will stand as the final score. Baltimore beats Kansas City 11-3. Well, the Joplin Outlaws are off to a red-hot start this season, winning their first 3 Mink League games. But since then, they've lost their last 3 games, and now they're looking to snap that streak. Joplin on the road tonight in Clarinda, taking on the A's. The Outlaws lost the series opener on Saturday. They look to even things up tonight. At the moment, the A's are up 7-1 in the 8th inning. However, Colton Reynolds has gone 2 for 4 with a double in this one for the Outlaws. Joplin will take the day off tomorrow, and they'll continue their long road trip on Tuesday in Sedalia. Well, it's Game 5 of the NBA Finals, and that will tip off on Monday night. The Denver Nuggets are now only one win away from winning their first NBA title in franchise history, while Miami, on the other hand, is looking to extend the series.
So we didn't come this far to stop playing now, no matter what the odds are, the analytics. When we get out there, we just got to compete. We got to win one, and then we got to win another one, and then we got to win another one.
Well, my biggest concern going into any closeout game is human nature and fighting against that. You know, you're up 3-1, and, you know, most teams, when you're up 3-1, they come up for air, they relax, and they just kind of take it for granted that, oh, we're going to win this. And the neat thing for us is that going back to the bubble, you know, we've been down 3-1 before, and we've come back and won, and we know anything is possible.
And one last note I want to mention, Oral Roberts in Tulsa, small private school, they're headed back to the College World Series, men's baseball, for the first time in 45 years. So congrats to the Eagles.
Sounds good. We'll be right back. High school graduation is extra sweet for two teens in Maryland. They say without the woman who adopted them, they wouldn't have made it this far. Lisa Robinson has the story.
As the crowd cheered and their mother looked on, Gordon Burrell and Dennis Parker took that walk across the stage to collect their diplomas from Newtown High School.
I feel good. I'm getting out of school. She brought me in. She made sure we had everything. Made sure we was in school. Without her, it will be no graduation.
Their mother, Cecilia McFadden, took them in as foster children. Parker when he was a week old and Burrell at the age of 2. A couple of years later, she adopted them. They credit McFadden with pushing them.
She got on my butt every day. I don't know. She always told me the right things to do.
McFadden has fostered 15 children, adopted 3, and has 2 biological children.
When you get them so young, you get attached to them. You don't want to take them back. So
Burrell faced the added challenge of having severe hearing loss. He was bullied and called names at school.
Honestly, without a mother, without just going into foster care and everything, my life probably would have been messed up. Probably would have been in the streets, maybe selling drugs, a lot of other stuff. She's there, you know. She was the protector, the caregiver. She made sure, you know, no matter what, we never look down on ourselves.
we're losing too many males in the street. Too many. I said you already have 2 things going wrong for you right now. You're black and you're male. I said you need that education. I said if you get that education, no one can take that away from you. As long as you can read and write and count, you're going to be okay. You can make it.
The next chapter, Burrell is off to study music in college and Parker learning a trade.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations to them. What's going on with weather?
Well, we have some fog for tomorrow morning, but pretty nice as we go through till Wednesday, and then isolated storms on Thursday and Friday. And then as we look towards next weekend, Father's Day weekend, some thunderstorms are possible on Sunday morning, but look at the heat that really builds in after that. And of course, the first day of summer, 97 degrees.
Well, that's our time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll leave you a video of some red pandas playing with an ice blocks. We'll see you right back here next time. Thank you for joining us and making us a part of your night. Are we alone in the universe? A whistleblower asserts that we already know the answer to that question and that the U.S. government is keeping it under wraps. Fox News correspondent Andrea Halls has that story.
This all came to light because whistleblower David Grush filed a complaint alleging retaliation for providing information to lawmakers about UFOs, or UAPs as they're now called. His biggest concern is that he feels Congress was kept in the dark. An assertion that was considered to be urgent and credible by the Intelligence Community Inspector General. That's according to Grush's former attorneys and reporting by The Debrief, which detailed claims by Grush that the government has been retrieving partially and fully intact non-human vehicles. He spoke out earlier this week.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will. It's probably not the right parlance, but no kidding, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
Grush is a former intelligence officer and served on the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. Lawmakers say they're working to learn more.
If there are, there is evidence about UFOs, and it doesn't damage national security, I think we should be open to hearing it and telling the American people as much as we possibly can.
I don't have the answers at the moment, and when I do get the answers, I'll be honest, but I can't tell you because it'll still be classified. So, but we will definitely be looking for those answers.
Journalist Michael Schellenberger said that he's now had multiple credible high-level sources who have come forward claiming that the U.S. is in possession of at least a dozen non-human crafts. And he believes the government needs to open its doors.
So if they're not there, then nobody should object to people looking, including in unannounced visits. But you can't say that there's nothing there and we shouldn't look. I think that's no longer credible.
A spokesperson for the Department of Defense told Fox News Digital this week that there is no verifiable information to substantiate these claims. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Body camera video from Las Vegas police shows something bright streaking across the sky. It happened May 1st. The American Meteor Society says people in Nevada, Utah, and Eastern California reported seeing the flash. About 40 minutes later, a man called 911 saying he and his family saw something fall from the sky and that there were two beings between 8 and 10 feet tall and with large eyes in the family's backyard. Officers responded and went to the backyard but didn't find anything. According to a local station, police have closed the case. Up next, how a foster mom made the world of a difference in the lives of 2 kids who are now thanking her for helping them graduate high school.